Hello there. My name is Cap Coldblood, and welcome to Day 4 of the 30-Day Star Wars Challenge. Now, as I told you in the video for Day 3, I am a little late getting to this one. They're both being recorded in the same night. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post... I have already posted Episode 3, and then likely by the morning of the 5th, this should be posted morning or mid-morning. So, today's topic is our favorite Jedi from the Star Wars franchise. And if you probably couldn't tell by the opening, my favorite Jedi would have to be Master and Council Member Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, normally most of you would assume Anakin Skywalker because I said Darth Vader is my favorite Star Wars character of all time. As I said in Day 3, I do not plan on being redundant with this. I will be as close to giving new content as I can, which means that anybody that I have already used in the previous episodes is ruled out of future episodes. So, General Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's been an interesting character ever since he was introduced in Episode 4 as Ben Kenobi. Really, he was kind of like the father figure that Luke never had. He was the mentor. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru really didn't fill that parental role. And old Ben, for the short time that he knew Luke, really started to instruct him and lead him in the ways of the Jedi and the ways of the Force. So Ben and Obi-Wan, the same person, have always had kind of an interesting history. Ben was active through every single episode of the original trilogy, and Obi-Wan was extremely active in every single episode of the prequels, as well as the Clone Wars television show. So, with all of this happening, you get a lot of insight into the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You realize he had a love at one point in his life when he was still a very young Jedi. You see all the struggles he and Anakin went through the Clone Wars. You get to see all of the differences between the young Obi-Wan and the older Obi-Wan Kenobi, known as Ben. You really get a look at the entirety of his life, and based on the rumors that I've heard from Disney, or from people getting too far into Disney's files, really, an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie seems a little bit unnecessary. We have him in Rebels, we have him in Clone Wars, we have him in the prequels and the original trilogy, and there are even rumors that'll be brought back for the sequel trilogy. He's everywhere. He's a lot of people's favorite Jedi, simply because he's wise, and in the original trilogy he's old, he's very wise, he's very sacrificial. I like him in his younger form. Blasphemy, I know. I like him in his younger Clone Wars form. One of the things that I've always loved about Obi-Wan is that he wears clone armor. Now, I know it's not, exactly what he wears, but right across the upper chest and across the shoulders, he wears clone armor with a small variation on the Republic symbol on his shoulder pads. He identifies with his troops by wearing their armor, a portion of it. And if you notice, he also wears it right on the forearm and over his hands, as well as on his lower legs. Pretty much his entire set of legs is clone armor. So he identifies with his troops. He wears their armor, and yet he's still distinct with his lightsaber and his cloak. So Kenobi really cares about the clone troopers. That's one thing that I've come to appreciate. Personally, I play Clone Wars roleplay in Gary's mod. It's not the highest quality, but it's there. And I've done that for about 4 years now. And really, it's given me kind of a look at the clones. I've fought beside clones, I've done stuff, and the Jedi generals are, high-ranking. If you see one, it's incredible. And Kenobi's always been my favorite. I've run into a fair number of people who do a good job at being Kenobi and are fairly likable Kenobi. So that helps add to the likeness of it. If I ran into one guy who was a total jerk and was terrible at being Obi-Wan Kenobi, then of course I'd dislike the character a bit more. But Obi-Wan Kenobi carries this presence that everybody loves Kenobi. Everybody loves being around him, having fun with him. His little quirks. Oh, it's you. All these little jokes that Obi-Wan can make. The classic "hello there" that everybody loves to quote from Obi-Wan. Some of my favorite lines come from video games. If you've played the Episode 3 video game for Xbox or PlayStation 2, one of my favorite lines from Obi-Wan is, "Next time we're taking the stairs after the elevator level." It's all those just quirky, funny little things that Obi-Wan Obi-Wan says, and really it's just pretty hilarious about all of what he does. And it's not just because he's comical. He's not comic relief. That's Jar Jar's job. But he is also a very serious warrior and a soldier. He doesn't flinch when it comes to fighting. He took on General Grievous several times. And if you think about that, General Grievous has killed dozens, if not hundreds of Jedi. He collects their lightsabers. So something that I like about Kenobi is that he is able to take on Grievous, and he's lost to Grievous several times, and Grievous has barely escaped, or Kenobi has barely escaped, They kind of have a back and forth history. But really, all this stuff about Kenobi is just incredible. I love him every time he's on screen. I love every single line of dialogue he has because he sounds very like a gentleman. He's cunning. He's crafty. He's a soldier first, and he really is the perfect, most quintessential Jedi in my mind. So his lightsaber's blue. That's another reason I like him. He's a Jedi Guardian. Really, he's just a very well-rounded character with a lot of humor and a lot of good aesthetic choices thrown in there. And the whole character of Obi-Wan Kenobi really does not change throughout the entirety of the films. From The Phantom Menace all the way to, The Force Awakens. He had a little cameo in The Force Awakens. He still is there in a sense. He is one with the Force, and the Force is with him. But the point being, Kenobi has not changed very much. He's evolved as anybody would, living through their entire life and having seen what he saw. He thought he killed his own best friend and threw him into a volcano. That's not something that doesn't just not affect you. But point being, I've really enjoyed Kenobi all throughout Star Wars. He's the one Jedi that I would spare, kind of like Count Dooku. Point being, he's my favorite Jedi. I mean, Mace Windu's cool. I don't like Yoda. All these guys, all these characters. Anakin's great because he's Darth Vader. Otherwise, he's okay. But all these characters, Adi Gallia, Luminara Unduli, Aayla Secura, Ahsoka, all of these characters are amazing. But Obi-Wan Kenobi really sticks out for me. Really, he's my favorite. That's all I can say that I haven't already said. So, alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we'll see you for day 5, where we will cover my favorite droid in all of Star Wars, and that's a lot to pick from. But I'll save that for tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.